Welcome, everybody, to our fourth speaker series event. This is the Impactful Women Inspiring Lives speaker event sponsored by Living Her Legacy, a nonprofit located in Fort Collins, Colorado. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Mark your calendars for the second Saturday of every month through December for our speaker series to hear a remarkable woman share her inspiring lives with us each month. I have a few links in our chat box for your review. We ask that you please put your first name and city where you live in our chat box. It's always nice to know who might be joining us. And also it's kind of nice to know that there's somebody else listening other than just the two of us to each other. And the other request I have in the chat box is we do $5 speaker series donations. So if you're inclined to share $5 with us today as you enjoy this conversation, there is a bit.ly link in our chat box for that purpose as well. So thank you for your consideration to share $5 with us today instead of having a Starbucks coffee today. So let's begin our visit today with an introduction to Living Her Legacy for those who may not know us. So Living Her Legacy is an 8-year-old nonprofit. We are a 501c3 IRS-approved nonprofit. We have been approved to create the first historic public outdoor art exhibition in Fort Collins and in Colorado. I can't find any other public art exhibition in the state of Colorado that recognizes women's accomplishments in the public eye. We also have programs for girls 16 to 19 and teen moms as a girl leadership program. And we also have a program for fifth grade girl role model art workshop to talk with the fifth grade girls about who were role models and mentors in their life and why they're so important. And so we've been able to start both of those, 1 in 21 and our fifth grade role model art workshops just 2 weeks ago. So we're very excited that things are opening up so we can pursue our education programs on a more regular basis now. So we aim to create a generation of change makers who will impact their communities and the girls who come behind them with our public art exhibit and our education programs for girls. And we invite you to go to our website to learn more about our nonprofit at livingherlegacy.org. We also invite you to go to our outdoor art exhibit space, which is in Fort Collins in Old Town, Fort Collins, Colorado. And it's on the north side of Cooper Smith's Pool Table Brewery. We are the renovation project to the east entrance of Old Town, and we're very blessed to be able to have this space to introduce our community and our guests to Fort Collins to each of these women's incredible legacies. The 48 women we have chosen, their impact is in Fort Collins, but they have lived all over northern Colorado, and we have both contemporary women and women who are deceased. So we're excited to have you join us today. So let's meet our guest today. So Tammy, I'm very excited to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time on a Saturday, especially a nice sunny Colorado day to join us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Patty.
Oh, you're welcome. So Tammy, the newly hired KUNC president and CEO, congratulations to you. How exciting.
Thank you very much.
We're excited to hear your journey to this point in your life. Tammy is a 20-year public media veteran with roots in music and commercial radio in Wisconsin. She currently oversees all aspects of KUNC and the Colorado Sound operations, the ongoing development of organization's culture, and the fulfillment of its mission. Tammy works with the KUNC board in the continual development of strategic planning, that I'm just learning about strategic planning, embody the plan's vision, and lead the organization to its successful implementation. Tammy has worked in public television in Wisconsin and in Chicago, and was the director of distribution and logistics at WBEZ in Chicago, the director of content and programming at WESA in Pittsburgh, the general manager of KRCC in Colorado Springs, and most recently, she moved down from the mountains as she was the executive director of Aspen Public Radio. We're excited that you've moved to the Front Range.
Thank you.
Colorado is her favorite place, and you'll find her on a hike or Nordic ski excursion when she's not consuming podcasts. film noir, or collecting vintage typewriters. And we'll talk more about that later. So Tammy, thank you again for joining us today. I look forward to our visit. So I have a few questions for us to start with, if that's okay with you.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So please start out by sharing a little bit about yourself and where you grew up.
Sure. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. Grew up on the south side of Milwaukee in Wisconsin, and went to college at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and then proceeded to move into commercial radio there in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee and Madison, and then got bit by the public television bug and ended up working for Wisconsin Public Television and Wisconsin Public Radio. Before I launched into the other parts of the country with my career in public media.
Wonderful. I wondered where your interest came from. So did you work in public radio starting while you were in college or after you graduated?
After I graduated, when I was in college, I worked at the college radio station, WSUW. I worked there and then eventually was the station manager of the college radio station, and then got an internship at a commercial station, and that's where it launched. But I quickly just knew I was in the right place when I was working at the college radio station and the college TV station as well.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know about all the different degrees that are available. So is your degree in journalism, or what degree do you have that gave you the internships possibilities to launch your career?
Sure. Certainly people would assume, being in radio and news, that I have a journalism degree, but I actually have a degree in radio, TV, film. So of course there's an element of truthful content and storytelling and things, but it's a sort of a bigger encompassing role than just the reporting. So that's my major, radio, TV, film, and then I have a minor in creative writing.
Oh, very helpful. Everybody should have a creative writing experience, I think.
I think so. And I think this degree, the radio, TV, film part, I'm sure by now has morphed a little bit into probably a media degree or a media management degree even. At the time I graduated in 1993, it was before the internet. And so it was all kind of put into one pot. And so I imagine now that there are many more opportunities for a college degree in one of these fields.
And everything changes so rapidly today. Oh my gosh.
It does.
So thank you very much for sharing that. So how did you become interested in your profession? And how did you decide to pursue a career in the radio and TV realm?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it in college, and working with people and connecting with an audience was so incredibly fun for me. Perhaps radio can kind of attract some people who aren't quite good theater people. And so I always enjoyed it. And as I had gotten into the business, I really enjoyed working as an intern. I had an internship at a station in Madison, and I was in those day and ages, they had people who were at the station 24/7. So you usually start out in the overnight shift. So I worked from 11 at night till 6 in the morning on the air to kind of get your feet wet and get a little bit better before they move you to where most of the people are. So I did that in Madison and in Milwaukee, which was really fun because I was able to work at the station that I grew up listening to. So I got to work with people that I'd heard on the air since I was a teenager. So it was really fun to start my career there. And yeah, so it's a bizarre, you're the only one there. It's kind of creepy. It's late at night, but it's a good place to start and kind of learn from those experiences, and then connect in with other people during the day who can help guide you and teach you.
Well, and that's similar to the nursing profession.
Yeah.
You come out of school and you end up working the graveyard shift. And it's, and I hadn't stopped to think about that. You mentioned it, that there are other professions out there too that do that with their new employees.
Sure. We don't do that anymore with the way computers and automation are. We don't have people here past on KUNC. We have someone here until 6:30, and then on the Colorado Sound, everything is pre-recorded except for our morning shift. So it certainly isn't staffed with live humans as it was before.
Oh yes, all this new technology. I mean, it does help. It does help.
Yeah,
It's just a straight up learning curve for
yes.
many of us. So thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about role models and mentors, since we provide that opportunity in our nonprofit. So who were your role models and mentoring growing up, and how did they impact your life?
I would say I was a total school nerd. I loved school and I loved learning. And so, of course, I had some really fantastic teachers who took the time. I would ask a million questions, and they're very patient with me. I had an especially amazing teacher. I was part of the Gifted and Talented program in elementary school. Her name was Mrs. Holloway, and I was able to use one of the first Apple computers. We had a place to experiment. It was science focused as well as storytelling, and there was no ceiling with Mrs. Holloway. It didn't matter that I was a girl. It didn't matter where I came from. And so she, even to this day, like you asked me that question, and her name is right there. She just was so important to me. So your teachers are often, I think, one of your first connections to other women and men, but other women in the world who aren't your mom or your aunt or your grandma, who can help show you what's out there and what's possible. So I'm inherently so grateful to Mrs. Holloway for encouraging me from a really young age.
And I'm sure if everybody would take a minute or a moment to think about who were their role models, they could name somebody.
Yes.
Whether it was their mother, typically I hear it's my mother, or a teacher. Mine is my first grade teacher.
Yes.
And the other interesting thing of something you just said triggered a thought. I'm reading a book about those who lead, and it's about men and women who have been great leaders in many different companies in the United States. And the one I was reading about today is a woman who was the CEO, and I should have it in front of me. I didn't think about this ahead of time. I think it was Pepsi. But anyway, the company doesn't matter. But what you mentioned that made me think about it, that triggered my thought, is she said one of the most important things when she's interviewing people is, do they have a curiosity to ask questions and to learn? And that's what you demonstrated as a young student, is the curiosity to ask questions.
I think that's why I ended up in public media as well. One of my first jobs in public television was to run the switcher. So essentially I'm at a control board, and I am the person who's controlling the programming and the commercials and like what is going up and on in the screen. And so my real first job in public broadcasting was to watch public television 40 hours a week and get paid for that. And so it just fit me so well. I loved that job. I loved being able to learn. And that just kind of has kept me in public broadcasting most of my career. Is what an honor and a great experience to have a job that I get to learn, and then I also get to facilitate learning with different groups of people all throughout our communities.
Oh, wonderful. Yep, we all have some experience that has triggered for us to carry on and follow our passion. Right. Well, thank you. So my next question for you is, what are some of the challenges and opportunities that you have encountered in your personal and professional goals?
I think that, there's definitely a challenge having come into a business that was very male controlled and male company owners and dominated, especially in commercial. I started professionally really about 1995. I spent a year backpacking through Europe right after college, and then came home and got serious about my career. So it's definitely been a little challenging in people making assumptions that I'm not going to continue this career when I get married and have children. And it was even in that time period in the mid-late 90s that still was a concern to some of the supervisors and people up the chain, was that if they invested a lot in me, I was going to leave and, have a family and not come back. And certainly that's everybody's as a woman, that is your right and your choice. There is no wrong answer there. But the fact that I never disclosed what my plans were, and there was just an assumption there that was really difficult. And again, what was really helpful to me was other women who were opening doors for me. I found other mentors in women who had worked their way up and had been very purposeful about putting a hand down and helping others get into places that they worked really hard to get into. So I'm very grateful for that. And I don't sit still very often. I have a little bit of chutzpah, and I think being from the Midwest, there's a certain work ethic that comes with that as well. So it was a combination of my own determination, my own taking what I needed to learn seriously, and then having great mentors and people who would help me learn and help provide an avenue to a greater experience.
Well, and as you mentioned, the women that you were able to follow, they provided a hand up, and it's so important for two things. One, for women to empower other women.
Yes.
And that mentoring and being willing to spend time when they're so busy already to help somebody else learn the ropes and learn how to maybe miss some of those side steps, and navigate that process, because it's not easy.
No, it's not. And I'm lucky to be, I'm still learning and growing too, even after over 20 years in the business. But now I'm at a point where I am very purposeful. I mean, and I have a little bit along the way, but now that I've learned a little bit more, I'm very purposeful in the young women who work here in my organization and make sure that I'm continuing the gift that was given to me by helping other women as well.
Well, and the second thing is that the reason that we have some education programs for teenagers and fifth grade girls is we want them to know that it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
It's okay to ask questions.
Yes.
And that's hard for girls to learn.
It is, but I really, I've not, even now, and there still are women that have more experience than me or the same, and I reach out a lot to other people, and I've not found, it may be, can you make an appointment? I'm really busy right now, but no one's ever said no or walked away or anything. So don't be afraid to ask. You might get well, can we do this next week or something? But I think it's important that young women and girls, ask and help find their mentors and their people that they can rely on.
Right. Oh, I agree. Certainly agree. So would you share with us your current job role?
Yes. So I am currently the president and chief executive officer of Community Radio for Northern Colorado is the name of our company. And we have two services. We have an NPR news station that is KUNC. And we also have a fairly new music discovery station called the Colorado Sound. And the Colorado Sound has a focus on Colorado musicians and people in the area. We are not, unlike commercial media, we don't have someone who lives in New York who sends us a playlist of what to play. Our people, our hosts and DJs, they all live here in the region and are choosing songs and musicians themselves. So it's not just a Spotify playlist or anything. It's people really thinking about connecting the audience with these amazing musicians in our area as well.
Well, and that's the beauty of having a public radio station in our community, is that it's all about our community.
Yes.
It was so very nice.
Absolutely.
So thank you. So now I have to ask, how did you become interested in collecting vintage typewriters? I thought that was an interesting tidbit that I read.
I've got one behind me there. You can kind of see, and I have another one over here. I think it started with, I was at WBEZ, which is the third largest, fourth largest public radio station in the country, and we had a large newsroom. Nobody was using typewriters, but just the sort of excitement of being in a place and the mechanics of it and the sounds and the smells and the anyone, it's sort of like the internet and computers today. Anyone could sit down and write what they thought, what they dreamed about, stories they imagined.
Mhm.
And I thought it was so interesting, and just a little connection to positions that were called secretaries as
Mhm.
well, and how some women were able to have that position but move up from that and have greater careers and bigger influence. And so I started collecting them. I didn't really have an intent. I have 10 of them right now.
Mm.
And I would go to estate sales to find them, especially in Chicago. There was a lot of that available, and in Pittsburgh, and certainly in Colorado Springs. So
Mhm.
I have to say that if you plan to move around a lot, they're not the
Oh,
easiest collection to move with you.
mhm.
But it's really been fun, and finding the old supplies that go with it, and kind of I'm no expert by any means, but a little bit of trying to get them to work
Mhm.
has been a challenge for me as well. So
Mhm.
it's been really fun.
Okay. Now, do you happen to have a website where you have them posted so people can see them and learn about them?
It's a good point. I don't. I should do that. I should definitely do that. It's very popular. There's a group, I think they're even called Rocky Mountain Typewriters. There's a group here in this part of Colorado there. Before COVID, they would get together in person at in a library or at somebody's house, and
Mhm.
everyone would bring one of their favorite typewriters.
Oh, how fun.
And then people would just kind of hang out and work on their
Mhm.
typewriters together. And so it's a popular hobby. Um,
Mhm.
and it's just, I think it's just a fun way to have a little bit more connection than a keyboard or your iPhone or something like that. So
Right. And there's a lot of history and a lot of nostalgia with
yes,
typewriters as
definitely
well.
amazing machines, just beautiful and gorgeous and detailed.
Mhm.
And so it's fun to kind of watch the designs over the years. I do have an IBM electric computer typewriter um,
Mhm.
that I remember that
Mhm.
in my youth, being in like the school offices and things like that. So I don't have just the old timey ones. I do have a more modern one from the like IBM from the late 70s, early 80s.
Mhm. Oh, what a fun hobby.
Oh, it's great.
That's fun. Thank you. So let's see. So my next question is, what advice would you share with a young woman growing up today?
Wow. Wow. I would say just really pay attention to who you are, and who you just intrinsically are. I think there's a lot of pressure to be this and be Instagram famous, and do all of the things that maybe don't even speak to you. So one of the best things is to find what excites you and um, pursue it and stick with it. And it's okay if that changes. I wanted to be a zookeeper, I wanted to be an astronaut, and I sort
Mhm.
of tested out a lot of different things. I was a Girl Scout for 11 years, which was really important to me. And my troop leader, Mrs. Dvornik, was also really influential in my life. So I would say find what you're interested in and spend some time with it. And if it leads you to something else, that's okay. And
Mhm.
you have a lot of time ahead of you. I remember being a teenager just seemed like the worst, and it was never going to end. And
Mhm.
you would always be, told what to do from your parents and your teachers and maybe your pastor. And, it just seemed
Mhm.
like an endless list of instructions. But there's some wisdom in there, pieces of it, I think, that can fit with you and your personality. But you have so many great opportunities now. Certainly not every door is open,
Mhm.
to all women everywhere. But I think it's just so exciting for young women and girls now, where it's even more so. There's availability and places to try things and get
Mhm.
internships and job shadow, and pursue the hobbies that you find really interesting. Versus I was talking to my mom, and when I was early in my career, and she was just amazed. She was like, Tammy, when I was in my 20s, I could be a teacher or a nurse,
Mhm.
flight attendant or a beautician or a mom,
Mhm.
and you had to pick one.
Right.
And so that to me blows my mind. And so now certainly just having faced some challenges and difficulties that I had as the next generation, it's really encouraging to see even more of that kind of blown apart now for young women and girls in this day and age. So I would say, don't be shy, find what you're interested in. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. There's a lot of groups and places, even online and everything like that too. So you're not just limited by your hometown. I know that I struggled a little bit as a teenager. We moved from Milwaukee to a farm town in the middle of Wisconsin. That was really hard for me. And at the time, there was no internet. So I was truly dictated by who was available in the town. But I think now there's just so much more opportunity to find a group of people that don't necessarily live in your neighborhood. So I think there's much more opportunity for young women to connect and help learn and grow together.
Oh, I do too. And, we see the advertisements on the news from Denver. They have these huge STEM conferences for girls.
Yes. How fantastic.
Yes. So there are lots of opportunities all over, and maybe not in the community you're in, but within driving distance of many places for those young girls.
And you know what I love too is so many young girls and women, man, they just have some fire. And if it's not there, they'll build it themselves. And that I just find amazing and refreshing and inspiring, because maybe you don't have internet access as much as you would want, or it's difficult where you live, but there are ways that you can build things that you're looking for yourself as well with the community of people that are around you. So I think it's really encouraging.
Yes, I think it is as well. So thank you. So as we come to the end of our visit this afternoon, do you have an inspirational quote that resonates with you?
I do. And I don't know, I think maybe it's something for just young girls and to like put in the back of your head. But there's a quote from Maya Angelou that I've had it, but then it's really kind of stuck with me more as I've gotten older. And it's, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And I think that that's so important. At least for women in my generation, we were still really told to be nice and not question. And that is quite often a male figure in authority, and you just do what they say and you don't even think about it. And that's just the way someone is. But as I've gotten older, instead of, well, this person is being disrespectful or they're not treating people equally, instead of just sort of, maybe they'll get better, maybe they'll change, maybe they'll learn. I think it's important for women who are still taught to a certain extent to be nice and be accommodating and don't be loud and don't cause problems, to just really believe who people show you who they are. And certainly people can change, but it's not your job to change them. And just be aware of how they're presenting themselves to you, because you don't need to surround yourself or spend time with someone who is not respectful and is not encouraging of you.
Right. And that reminds me of a quote that I'll paraphrase from Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that her mother told her to be nice, to be a nice young lady. But what she meant was to be independent.
Yes. That's a great one too. That's fantastic. Certainly being a human being is really important, and having and showing compassion. So I like that one as well. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, of course, is an inspiration to many women and girls. And that's a valuable lesson.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your time on this beautiful sunny Colorado day to go into your office and join us this afternoon.
Yes.
So I look forward to meeting you in person down the road.
Yes.
So we're very grateful for sharing your impactful, inspiring life journey today with us.
Thank
so
you.
We can learn a little bit more about you and welcome you to the Colorado KUNC and then Eastern Slope where we live. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Patty. It's been fantastic.
You're welcome. So as we come to the end of our visit today, I'll share a few of our Living Her Legacy events. I mentioned to you, we invite you to stop downtown to visit our portrait windows. We just had on the 24th, our second 4 women out of 48 portraits were put up. And I invite you to participate in our $5 speaker fundraisers. The money goes to our education programs for girls. And you can learn more about our past events and programs with our girls programs and about our art exhibit if you go to our website, livingherlegacy.org, and then you go to the top right to events photo gallery, and you'll be able to learn more about what we are doing and what we've accomplished in our community so far. I don't know if you read the Fort Collins Discover magazine, but I really enjoyed it. It's a beautiful magazine with beautiful artwork and articles. I invite you to pick up the current issue that's out. We have a 2-page article in the middle of the magazine that has a picture of all 48 legacy honorees. And we, over the last 4 years, I have put in 3 women or 4 women in each issue. It was quarterly, and then it went to 3 times a year with COVID to introduce our legacy honorees to our community in Northern Colorado. So we are looking for individuals or businesses who would like to sponsor one of these legacy honorees and help us complete our art exhibit, which is paying for our artist and our sculptor and everything else that goes into that. So that's in that magazine. If you'd like to even learn about who are the 48 women, you can either go to our website or pick up one of those Discover Fort Collins magazines in Northern Colorado in many different locations. So, and as I mentioned, our new website, we have a new website. I have managed our website for the last 5 or 6 years. I have a immense gratitude for Sonia Cooper, who has been on my board for the first 3 years of our life, getting approved by the IRS. She has a marketing background and owns a finance business. But she has helped me rewrite all of the content for this new website over the last 1.5 years. And I will never do this again. There are some experiences in life that you don't want to recreate. So I invite you to visit our beautiful website. Who is been our main support person has been Brenda Davison. She lives out east of Fort Collins, and she has a wonderful website, Creative Soul. So we are very excited to unveil our website to the Northern Colorado community and anybody who happens upon our website. So, and the last thing I'll leave you with is, I don't know if you play golf or if you know somebody who plays golf, but we are instituting our first golf tournament as a fundraiser in October 17th at Mariana Butte. And Sprague Roofing and Exteriors is partnered to support both Living Her Legacy and Hope Lives. Both of our organizations support women, and we support women and girls, needless to say. Hope Lives supports women with breast cancer diagnoses. And the first tournament is May 20th. That is Sprague's tournament. Hope Lives is September 12th, and ours is October 17th. So we're very grateful to Sprague Roofing and Exteriors in Northern Colorado in supporting both of us as we have these 3 golf tournaments as well. So if you have missed any of our speaker series, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is, I have to look it up because I always forget. I typed it wrong the first time, so it's not Living Her Legacy when I didn't know when I was setting this up. So it's Living Her, then a space, Legacy is what our YouTube channel is. So again, Tammy, thank you very much for spending your Saturday with us. We're very grateful for your inspiring life endeavors and what you're doing to support women who are coming behind you in this profession. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Bye, everybody. Go out and enjoy our sunny weather. Bye, Tammy.
Bye. Thank you.